Today I want to tell you about one of my favorite manifestation stories that I've ever experienced in my life. This took place about, I don't know, I think it was like 11 years ago or something. And I was living in Maine at the time, but I had this apartment I'd been living in before in Colorado that I still had, but I wanted to unload it and put the lease to someone else and get rid of everything that was in it because I didn't want to go back and live in Colorado at the time. So I had a job that was hard to get away from, and I wound up only leaving myself something like 3.5 days to go out there and take care of that. Now this was before Craigslist made things easy with online classifieds, and it was newspaper ads for yard sales and for rentals and stuff like that. So you had to plan it ahead. You couldn't just put stuff out there on the fly and get tons of people coming by. So I put out a newspaper article or a newspaper ad for a yard sale and an open house, or telling people that my apartment was for rent. I flew out there. I was staying with a friend. I didn't have a car of my own, and so I was relying upon her. And I had a couple people come by and look who saw the place and weren't interested. And but before I get onto that, I should tell you what I did for my manifestation technique. I said to myself, okay, this is a tricky situation. I've only got a few days. If I don't pull this off the way I want it to be, it's going to be real messy because I'm going to have to go back on my flight, and I'm going to probably have to pay someone to take care of this. I didn't have a lot of money for that kind of thing at the time, so it just would have been a real messy kind of headache, nightmare kind of situation. So I really had to get it right. So I was like, all right, how do I want this to feel? How do I want the perfect solution to feel? I want it to feel like it's being given to me in this perfect, tidy little box, gift wrapped with a bow. Everything's so easy and simple. So that was the idea. That was the feeling that I wanted this experience to create. As they tell you in the manifestation techniques, you need to know how it's going to feel, and you need to practice feeling that feeling. So I held that image in my mind through the course of those few days, and even though the first people who looked at it weren't interested, and the yard sale only like a couple little items sold, yet I had a whole apartment full of furniture and housewares and stuff, and things weren't looking good, I was holding that image. And the strangest thing happened to me at the time. I got to this point where I actually knew ahead of time that it was going to happen, and I had no idea how or why. I knew. Nothing like that had ever happened to me before, and I'm not psychic. I can't read the future, even to this day. So that was a very mysterious thing to me, and I didn't want to tell my friend and risk looking stupid after the fact if I wasn't correct, or risk jinxing it or something like that. But I was like, whoa, it's gonna happen, it's gonna work out. I kind of knew somewhere, and that was so bizarre to me. And so the yard sale didn't work. The first appointments with people viewing the apartment didn't work. Finally, it got to be the last day that I had there. And I had 2 appointments set with people to come and take a look in the morning. And still the place was filled with all the stuff. So first off, this couple came by to see it, and I was like, oh, when I saw them coming up the steps, I was like, this isn't going to work for them. It's a really, really teeny place. They're a couple. It's just never going to work for them. And they came in, and they're like, oh, this is pretty cute, actually. And they're like, can we talk to each other outside for a minute, please? And so they did. And then they came back in, and they're like, we'd like to take it, and we'd like to buy everything that you have in here, too. So they did, and I got a bunch of cash, and they had signed the new lease and been accepted by the landlord by noon that day. And you know what? The other people who had contacted me to come by after them never even showed up. So that was my last day. Whoosh, it all got taken care of as if it was handed to me in this perfectly gift-wrapped box. Could not have been more simple and more of a piece of cake. And I know I made that happen. It tied in with that whole feeling I had of knowing that it was going to happen. I practiced the manifestation well enough that I got that feeling inside, even though it was something I was very unfamiliar with. And as you may recall, part of the thing of manifestation is getting to this point where you have certainty that it's happening. It's already in the cards, it's already a given. And sometimes I think it takes matters of kind of like desperation or urgency, like my situation where there's some kind of dire consequence if you don't make it happen, to really motivate us to work it really hard, because it takes focus. It takes real concerted focus to do that, to make something that seems unlikely to happen, to believe that it's happening and hold the vision of that. Sometimes it really takes some real serious conditions to make you actually go to that extent. I think that's why sometimes we don't have more success with our manifestation efforts, is there's not enough riding on it, there's not enough of a big consequence if we don't make it work out. So it's easy to just kind of be a little lazy and not really go the full 9 yards with our manifestation efforts. So I hope you'll take that story to heart and play around and have some fun with your own manifestations. I'll talk to you again next time.